Proper fractions represent parts of a whole. For example, here I'm representing one whole as 3 equal parts. We call each of these equal parts 1/3. For example, 1/3 plus 1/3 would be as though I shade in 1/3 and then another third, and in total I've shaded in 2/3, 2 parts out of the 3 parts making up the whole. Similarly, if I did 1/3 plus 1/3 plus 1/3, that would be like shading in all 3/3. In total, I've shaded in 3 out of 3, which is also 1 whole, or 1. In both cases, we should notice that when we add the fractions, we add the numerators, but not the denominators. Remember, numerator is the top number, and denominator is the bottom number of a fraction. You might end up with an improper fraction as an answer. This is just a fraction where the numerator is larger than the denominator. You might have heard it being called a top-heavy fraction. Here we want to add 1/4, 3/4, and 2/4. Going on from what we said before, this will give us 6/4, and we can visualize it like this: 1/4 plus 3/4. So I'm shading in what I'm adding. So 1/4 plus 3/4 has given me 1 whole, but I've still got 2 more quarters to add. And if I do this, I can see that I've got 1 whole circle and then half a circle. So the answer is 1.5. To calculate this, we can just say that 6/4 can be written as 1.5 because 4 goes into 6 once with remainder 2. So we write it as 1 and 2/4. 2/4 will then simplify to 1/2. Finally, you might need to simplify your answer. Here we have 2/10 plus 3/10, which is obviously going to be 5/10. So here we go, we have 2 out of 10 plus 3 out of 10. I've got this whole cut into 10 parts. I'm shading in 2 parts for the 2/10 and then 3/10. In total, we should notice that we've shaded in half of the whole, exactly half. So the answer needs to be a half, but when we work it out, it's 5/10. We then need to simplify by dividing the numerator and denominator by the common factor of 5. This will give me an answer of 1/2, or 1/2. Here are some questions for you to try. Please pause the video now and have a go at them, and when you're ready for the answers, press play. Here are the answers. Here are the answers. In the questions we've seen so far, the denominators have been the same, but usually the denominators are different. When the denominators are different, we need to use equivalent fractions to make them the same. For example, if we wanted to add 1/2 and 1/4, we could use a picture. So we could imagine if I have half a pizza, or half of a whole, and 1/4 of a whole, you can probably notice that that needs to be 3 out of 4, 3 pieces out of 4. But the way we can really do it is by looking at 1/2 as 2/4 and then adding up 1/4 at a time. So what I'm going to do is write everything over the common denominator of 4. To change the 2 into 4, I've multiplied it by 2. So I need to times the top by 2 as well. This gives me 1 times 2 is 2, over 2 times 2 is 4, giving me the equivalent fraction 2/4. It's equivalent because 2/4 will simplify to 1/2. I can now add as I have before by adding the numerators. 2 plus 1 is 3/4, giving me 3/4. Similarly, here I have 4/5 plus 3/10. This will be a little bit trickier to draw out. So here, the lowest common multiple of 5 and 10 is just 10. So to get 10, I multiply the 5 by 2, and therefore I need to multiply the top, or the numerator, by 2 as well to keep the fraction the same. So I have 8/10 plus 3/10, giving me an answer of 11/10. Now 10 goes into 11 once with remainder 1, So the final answer is 1 1/10 as a mixed number. If I wanted to do 3/4 plus 5/8, again, the lowest common multiple of 4 and 8 is just 8. So we multiply 4 by 2 and 3 by 2 for the first fraction, giving me 6/8. 6/8 plus 5/8. This is obviously going to be 11/8. 8 goes into 11 once, with remainder 3. So the final answer is 1 3/8. Here, it's a little bit different because we might need to change both of the numbers on the denominators. We look at the lowest common multiple of 5 and 4. And if we look at the times tables, we should notice that that is going to be 20. So I need to multiply 5 by 4 to get 20. So I multiply numerator and denominator of the first fraction by 4. And the second fraction, I would need to multiply numerator and denominator by 5, giving me 15/20. So my final answer is 4/20 plus 15/20, which is 19/20. And this cannot be simplified. 1/2 plus 3/7. I notice again that the lowest common multiple of 2 and 7 is 14. So that's what I'm going to use as my denominator. I multiply 2 by 7 and the 1 on the top of the fraction by 7. 7 by 2 and 3 by 2. I get 7 plus 6, which is going to be 13/14 as my answer. Here, I can see that the lowest common multiple of 5 and 7 is going to be 35. And I have a subtract. The only difference is that I take away the denominators now rather than adding them. So my lowest common multiple of 5 and 7 is 35, and I get that by timesing 5 by 7. So I have 28/35, take away 15/35. On the top, I need to do 28 take away 15, so I'm just going to work that out. That gives me 13. So I have 13/35 as my final answer. Here are some questions for you to try. Please pause the video now and have a go at them, and when you're ready for the answers, press play. Here are the answers.